No, it definitely don't matter. You know, the odds can't fight for him. So, it is what it is. I expect him to, box a little bit, but I also expect him, to try to walk me down and be the bigger man. So, we expect everything. Both of us got a lot to lose, but a lot to gain. So, I think that's why everybody should tune in because it's going to be a hell of a fight.
Terence Crawford has just warned Canelo Alvarez in a live interview ahead of their upcoming September clash. On the other hand, Canelo Alvarez remains fully focused on his training camp. He's sharpening his skills and staying disciplined ahead of his next challenge. His intense preparation shows he's determined to deliver another dominant performance. Moreover, Shane Mosley said he expects a great fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford, noting both are highly skilled. However, he believes Canelo's size will be the deciding factor, pointing out that people often underestimate how big Canelo really is. While Crawford may be seen as the more talented boxer, Mosley emphasized that Canelo holds a two-weight class advantage and predicted Canelo would win comfortably, though he still respects Crawford's abilities.
I think it'll be a great fight. I think both guys are great fighters, but I think Canelo's just too big, and they mistake him as being just a guy at 168, not a regular guy, and Crawford being the more talented. But that's not the case. They're both talented. But the only thing is Canelo has them by two-weight division. So I think that Canelo beats him pretty easily. But we'll see. If Crawford does good, I mean, kudos to Crawford. I'm happy for him. If he can pull off, great. But my mental, my mind's telling me that Canelo's going to probably beat him.
Mosley added that for Crawford to win, he might need to create a slower-paced fight with smart movement and distance control. He explained that using space doesn't mean running, and if Crawford can stay just outside the pocket and avoid heavy exchanges, he might pull off the upset. Still, Mosley leaned toward Canelo, praising Crawford as a real fighter, but warning that the jump in weight could be too much.
I think that maybe you don't have to be all the way boring, but it has to be boring spots. Yeah. So just because he's moving around and keeping his distance don't mean that he's running, right? Yeah. So if he can move and just stay a little bit outside the pocket long enough, then maybe he can win. But I'm thinking Canelo's gonna win. I think Canelo's gonna get a fight because Crawford is a fighter. He's a true fighter. He's a real fighter, but he's in a wrong weight division.
However, Terence Crawford said he expects Canelo to fight like himself, using his boxing skills, but also trying to walk him down and impose his size. Acknowledging Canelo as the bigger man, Crawford said he's prepared for everything and ready to face whatever style Canelo brings to the ring.
I'm expecting Canelo to be Canelo. He's the bigger man. I expect him to, box a little bit, but I also expect him, to try to walk me down and be the bigger man. So, we expect everything in there. No, it definitely don't matter. The odds can't fight for him. So, it is what it is.
Moreover, Terence Crawford said fans should tune in on September 13th because it will be a spectacular fight between two elite fighters. One is trying to stay on top, the other aiming to take that spot. He added that both have a lot to lose and a lot to gain, making it a must-watch event.
Because it's going to be a spectacular fight. You got two great fighters, going head-to-head, and trying to dethrone. You got one fighter trying to dethrone the other one, and you got the other one trying to, stay at the top. So, it's going to be a great fight. Both of us got a lot to lose, but a lot to gain. So, I think that's why everybody should tune in because it's going to be a hell of a fight.
On the other hand, Robert Garcia responded to Canelo Alvarez's comment about Terence Crawford being better than Floyd Mayweather by saying the comparison doesn't make much sense. He explained that Floyd and Crawford have completely different styles, so the fights can't be compared. Garcia also noted that Canelo was just 23 years old and still maturing when he fought Mayweather. While he acknowledged Crawford's speed and sharp skills, Garcia made it clear that the two opponents are not alike and the situations are very different.
I think it's totally different. I think, you know, Canelo was only 23, was very young. I think this fight's gonna be great. I do see Crawford maybe pulling it off because he's got good footwork, good speed, but I don't think they're close. I don't similar those two fights, Canelo and Floyd. I think they're just different styles. I mean, Floyd and Crawford.
However, Terence Crawford lastly said that being recognized as the pound-for-pound king is all based on opinion. He mentioned that some people already see him as #1, while others rank him at #2 or 3. Still, he made it clear that if he beats Canelo Alvarez in a weight class that is not his natural division, it would absolutely confirm his legacy as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world.
Yeah, but that's opinionated. You know, some people got me as #1 right now. Some people got me #2. Some people got me #3. You know, it's opinionated. You know, but yeah, for sure, beating the likes of Canelo, you know, in a division that is not my natural division would definitely cement my legacy as the best pound-for-pound fighter in the world.
Moreover, Manny Pacquiao said that Canelo Alvarez versus Terence Crawford is a good fight, but he believes Canelo has the advantage because Crawford is moving up in weight. He advised Crawford to focus on maintaining and even improving his speed and strength, as it is difficult to go up to a higher weight and still keep the same speed. Pacquiao emphasized that speed is the key, saying Crawford should concentrate on his quickness, footwork, and increasing his power.
Canelo Crawford. Good fight. Good fight. Canelo has advantage because Crawford moving up, but my advice to Crawford is like maintain the speed, improve the speed, and improve the strength. Because it's hard to go up in high weight and maintain your speed. So speed is the key. Like he should focus on speed, footwork, and improve the power.
Kermel Moton said the upcoming September mega fight between Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford is a big deal, with Crawford moving up 2 weight divisions to challenge for the undisputed super middleweight title. He acknowledged that smaller fighters moving up usually doesn't end well, but he believes Crawford has a real chance. Moton said it's a big jump, but he sees it as a 50-50 fight. He admitted he doesn't know who will win and believes it will come down to who performs better on the night. In the end, he said the fans are the real winners in this matchup.
It's a big jump for sure, but you know, I feel like Crawford definitely has a great chance. You know, I feel like it's a 50-50 fight. You know, I really don't know who will come out on top of that one. I just feel like the better man that night will win. So, you know, I feel like the fans are the winners in that one.
Keith Thurman said Canelo will be himself as always, but the real focus is on Crawford. He noted that Crawford is stepping out of his zone by moving up in weight, and everything depends on his training, preparation, and ability to stay agile. Thurman said Crawford must rely on tactics, use his jab, feints, and angles. He mentioned how Charlo adjusted after getting dropped and managed to avoid further damage, showing that smart movement and defense can limit Canelo's power. He added that while it may not win the fight, it could help Crawford survive and stick to the boxing principle of hitting without getting hit.
You know, Canelo is really, Canelo's going to be Canelo, man. He's really, I think all the variables lie on Crawford. You know,
Absolutely.
Crawford is confident, but Crawford is outside of his zone. You know, it's all about the training camp, the preparation, you know, the extra weight, but still being agile, you know. I believe that it's tactics and game plan. I hope he works behind that jab. I hope he works behind the feint. And I hope he uses small little angles and different things, almost like when Charlo got dropped, right? After he got dropped, he never got dropped again. And because he never got dropped again, there's evidence that a nice mover, keeping your hands up, you actually can not get hurt by Canelo. Now, that was not the keys to victory because that was the keys of survival. But survival and tactics of not getting hit. The game of boxing is hit and not get hit.
Absolutely.
So to have the defense, to use the legs.
Brian Norman Sr. said he is fully backing Terence Crawford and always will. He called Crawford his guy and made it clear he is Team Crawford all the way. He praised Crawford not just as a great fighter, but also as someone who sets a good example. Norman said this is Crawford's era and everything about him is solid. He also mentioned how Crawford supports his children and trains with them, showing a side of him not many boxers reveal. He respects that Crawford stays out of trouble and away from negative headlines. When asked for a prediction, Norman said Crawford will win by decision.
I'm always going with my dog Crawford, man. I'm with Crawford, man. I'm Crawford, I'm Team Crawford all the way. And I'm not just saying that, you know, for no other reason. I just think he's a great fighter. This is his era right now, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely, he's a very great role model.
Yeah, but man, everything about Crawford is solid so far, so I'm going with Crawford.
Yeah, you know, you see these videos that he drops of him, you know, at his kids training and stuff like that, and you know, you don't see a lot of boxers do that.
I'm with all of that. I'm with all of that. He ain't out here being negative. He ain't out here in the, you know what I'm saying, in the news, you know what I'm saying, giving bullshit. Like, it's all good right now.
If you could give us a prediction for that fight, Crawford versus Canelo.
Shannon Briggs said he is picking Terence Crawford to win by stoppage. He shared that he has known Crawford since he was a young boy and feels proud to see him reach such a major stage. Briggs believes Crawford's ability to fight from both stances and his high boxing intelligence will confuse Canelo. He explained that Canelo has struggled with slick boxers before and expects Crawford to wear him down and finish him in the later rounds.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be a great fight. I got Crawford by stoppage, and I've known him since he was a little kid, you know, 12 years old. So to see him now fighting for a title in such a big fight, it's a great experience, great to see.
Last question for me then, how do you think Crawford stops him? How do you think he's able to work Canelo enough for him to stop the fight, drop, knock him down? How do you think this is possible by Crawford style?
He gonna box him. He can fight both ways. He gonna trick him up. You know, one thing Canelo showed is that he can be outboxed. But I think this time in the late rounds, you know, I think Crawford gonna have something for him.
Lamont Roach shared that he admires both Canelo and Terence Crawford and considers them incredible athletes. When asked to choose a winner, he said it was difficult because he supports both fighters. However, he admitted that Canelo's punching power gives him concern. He mentioned that Canelo hits extremely hard, and that kind of strength makes him uneasy about how the match might unfold.
Canelo versus Bud Crawford. I'm kind of have to put you in the spot. Who you like? Who you going with?
I like both. I'm a fan of Canelo. I'm a fan of Terence Crawford. They're both amazing fighters. Canelo's just a huge puncher, bro. It scares me a little bit.
Edgar Berlanga said Crawford needs to enter the ring with confidence, stick to his style, and rely on his strong ring intelligence. He emphasized that Crawford must remind people why he is a two-time undisputed champion. Berlanga mentioned the weight gap as a major factor, comparing it to himself moving up to heavyweight, where the size and strength difference would be obvious. He said Crawford is taking on a serious challenge against a top-level opponent and deserves credit for stepping up. Even in defeat, Berlanga said it would still be a bold move, and he fully trusts Crawford's skills.
First of all, he got to go in there and he just got to fight him. You know what I'm saying? He got to go in there. I think Crawford just got to go in there and do what he got to do. You know what I'm saying? He got to just be Crawford, you know, show his IQ, show him why he's a two-time undisputed, you know, world champion, and go in there with confidence. You know what I'm saying? That's all it is. You know, there's a big weight difference, a big weight jump. You know, that could be a difference in the fight. You know, because obviously, you know, it's like me jumping up to heavyweight. Obviously, I'm a feel the power. I'm a feel that size difference. You know, compared to my other fights. So I just think that he got to go in there and just be himself. And I said, if he loses, you know, we'll just all know that, hey, you know, he just jumped up 2 weight classes to be great. You know what I'm saying? It's not. He can't really. He's testing himself. He's putting himself. Testing himself a great fighter. So, and I don't doubt him. You know, I don't got no doubt in my mind. You know, he's a two-time undisputed world champion for a reason. So,
Berlanga also said nothing will likely throw Crawford off, except maybe Canelo's physical strength and size. He said Crawford is not going to stop Canelo, so the fight will depend on his smart approach. When asked who he favors, Berlanga said he supports Crawford and believes he can win. Still, he admitted that Canelo's size, power, and experience are big factors. He added that Canelo has handled bigger fighters before and will not be affected by Crawford's strength. In Berlanga's eyes, the matchup is even.
I don't think none's gonna phase him in that fight. You know what I'm saying? Maybe the power, maybe the size. You know what I'm saying? And you know, Canelo, he's not knocking Canelo out. So, he just got to go in there just IQ.
Would you lean towards Canelo still in that fight?
I got faith in him. I think Crawford could do it. You know what I'm saying? I think he could do it. Just like I said, just the size. The only that throws the fight off is the size, and you know, obviously the power, and Canelo's IQ too, because Canelo got IQ. You know what I'm saying? And
Canelo fought a lot much bigger guys, you know. So I know the Crawford's power ain't gonna phase him. I know Crawford's size ain't gonna phase him either, you know what I'm saying? So, but for me, I think it's a 50-50 fight.
Roy Jones Jr. said he does not care about face-offs or who looks tougher, but instead focuses on what each fighter can do in the ring. He sees Crawford as calm, focused, and ready for the moment he has worked toward for years. Roy feels Canelo might not have the same hunger he once had, though he still enjoys the spotlight and wants to give fans strong performances. He said Canelo can win if he fights a perfect fight, but he is not sure Canelo is capable of that now. In the end, Roy said the key will be whether Crawford can handle Canelo's strength and constant pressure.
I pay no attention to the pushing and shoving. I pay no attention to the weight factor. What I pay attention to is the skill level that both guys show in and out of the ring. And what I'm seeing is I see a hungry Crawford, a Crawford that has been looking for the opportunity for a long time, finally getting the opportunity, and really ready to grab the opportunity. And with Canelo, I see a guy who not necessarily hungry, but loves to entertain, loves to give us the big fights. Always tries to give the big fights. He finds a way to give us big fights. Not gonna always win them, but he always tries to give them to us. So he'll be a guy that, if he shows up and does the exact right thing, he can win the fight. If he don't do the right thing, which I don't see him doing, I don't know why he would at this point in his career. I don't know. It'll all be predicated upon how well Terence can take his punch.
Roy also said he is not concerned about the size difference between the two, because real skill can work in any weight class. He said Crawford is so technically sharp that size becomes less important. Roy's main question is whether Crawford can take punches from someone naturally bigger, but he believes Crawford has likely trained with larger fighters, such as super middleweights or light heavyweights. He explained that when a fighter has true ability, those tools move up with them. To Roy, it is not about size, but about talent and ring knowledge.
When you know how to box, when you're as skillful as Terence Crawford is, weight don't really matter much. Only thing that matters with the weight is can you take the punch. And I'm sure you've been sparring with super middles and light heavies, so I'm sure you probably can take the punch. So that's the only thing when you got skill. Now if you don't have a skill, you can't take the weight, take it up, because you're gonna lose your punch, you're gonna lose everything. But when you got skill, all your stuff that you have goes up with you. You talk to the GOAT, I went out with a heavyweight.
No, it's a lot of the people, which is why I brought up, would use the weight as an advantage for Canelo. But I agree, and you're right. Canelo fights obviously taller fighters all the time and wins. It's about skill as opposed to, a lot of the time anyway, as opposed to weight.
Yeah, well, like I said, I'm not really worried about the weight. I'm worried about the skill level that they use.
Abel Sanchez praised both Terence Crawford and Canelo Alvarez as smart and skilled fighters, but leaned toward Canelo because of his size and defensive skill. He said Canelo has taken big punches from strong opponents like Gennady Golovkin, Dmitry Bivol, and Sergey Kovalev without showing signs of fading, which proves he can absorb power well. Sanchez pointed out that Crawford tends to get hit more, even at 154 pounds, and said that no matter how good Crawford looks or how much weight he adds, facing someone with Canelo's strength and size is a completely different challenge.
Okay, well, first of all, Terence Crawford is a great fighter, but so is Canelo. I think that, in my opinion, their IQ is similar, except Canelo doesn't get hit like Crawford gets hit. In my opinion, Canelo's a bigger man. Not that he started out as a bigger man, but he's now a bigger man. He has been hit by not only Gennady, who's one of the biggest punchers that I've ever coached and I've ever seen, but he's also been hit by Bivol, by Kovalev, who's a big puncher. You know, he's been hit by big guys. Crawford had a hard time with a 154-pounder who hit him often. So I think that no matter how much weight he puts on, no matter how smart he thinks he is or how big he thinks he is, he's going to be getting hit by a truck.
Sanchez added that Crawford might do well in the early rounds, using his quickness and timing to win a few rounds at the start. Still, as the fight moves forward, he expects Canelo's strength and experience to take over. Around the 6th or 7th round, Sanchez believes Canelo will settle in, start landing clean shots, and fight with more control. While Canelo does not move his feet as much, Sanchez praised his upper body movement, head control, and defensive awareness along with his powerful punches. He thinks Canelo will either stop Crawford late wait or win clearly on the scorecards and said Crawford's team must be ready to step in if the fight turns too one-sided.
And I think that at the beginning, just like it was with Kell Brook and Gennady, at the beginning the speed and the talent will show in the fight. I think Canelo will lose 3 or 4 rounds at the beginning, but then once he starts pounding on him, as it's been for the last 6, 7 fights of Canelo, after the 6th or 7th round, it's a sparring session for him. You know, he just throwing bombs away and not caring about what they do to him. But he's got excellent defense. Unfortunately, his feet don't move as well as I would like for him to move them, but his upper body is just unbelievable. He slips punches very well. He's got great hands. He parries very well, and he lands big shots. He may not land as many, but he lands big shots that hurt. So I think Canelo stops him, or wide decision at the end, and corner must think about Crawford's safety and health.
That's it for today's video. So what are your thoughts on this? Share your thoughts in the comment section and make sure to subscribe and like if you enjoyed the video. Also, check out our other videos on the screen right now.